We're so glad everyone's here. Full house. So my name is Dan Lesser. I'm the Chief of Staff for the Mayor's Office of Housing. We know that Boston residents are feeling the pressure from rising housing costs. 50% of renters are paying more than 30% of their income towards rent each month. We are also seeing an increase in the number of real estate investors purchasing multifamily housing in our neighborhoods. When housing is put up for sale, tenants face the most risk of displacement. Responding to those pressures in 2016, the City of Boston launched the Acquisition Opportunity Program that works with mission-driven developers, community development corporations, land trusts, and others to purchase occupied multifamily housing, in doing so taking those properties off the speculative market, keeping the tenants in their homes, and making the homes permanently affordable. It's been an incredibly successful program that's been supercharged by the Mayor's investment of $28 million of Federal American Rescue Plan Act resources. But with today's high interest rates, the city's financial support doesn't go as far. 7 or 8% rates from traditional bank lenders are making acquisitions harder and harder to pencil out. We knew we needed a new way to lower the cost of capital. We also knew that the City of Boston couldn't create a new tool alone. We needed a collective approach with key Boston institutions who have long-term commitments to making Boston a home for everyone. So in December 2023, we convened a conversation with a set of Boston institutions to envision creating a fund that could provide low-interest loans to support acquisitions and make sure more families facing displacement could stay in their homes at an affordable rent. At the State of the City last January, Mayor Wu announced the initiative and pledged $5 million in City of Boston resources towards seeding the fund. So now, here we are, a year later, and after many, many meetings and convenings with many people in this room, after the selection of the Massachusetts Housing Investment Corporation, MHIC, as the fund administrator, the City of Boston is standing alongside our 10 founding investors to launch a new tool to prevent displacement and keep families in their homes, the Boston Acquisition Fund. So it's a really exciting day, and I'm grateful to bring up our leader, Mayor Michelle Wu, to share remarks about the launch of the fund.
Thank you so much to Dan for all of your hard work and leadership on this. Thank you to our entire housing team, led by our Chief of Housing, Sheila Dillon. Senior Housing Development Officer Adam Goldstein. Director of Neighborhood Housing Christine O'Keefe. It's a little bit of a long list, but we'll keep the clapping going. Director of Administration and Finance Rick Wilson. And Housing Development Officer Stephen Donovan. I also want to recognize and thank them for their tremendous partnership in this initiative as well. Our Senior Advisor for Partnerships, Stephen Chan, and Deputy Director, Alex Meadow. And thank you. We also have our Chief of Planning, Cairo Shen, in the house. Chief of Policy, Mike Firestone. And let me see. And a number of city leaders who have all been all hands on deck. This team has truly been working around the clock, using every tool in our toolbox, pulling every lever, leaving no stone unturned, and then trying to find even more things that we could do when it comes to finding every possible way to make Boston a home for everyone. We hear that this is the most pressing issue in every single community in our city, across geography, across generation, and across culture. Addressing the need for more housing that residents can actually afford in our city is an essential component of our vision and the work that we do every day. And we're dedicating the resources that this goal deserves and demands, and I'm so grateful to those from all the various sectors who have joined with us to make that possible. In the last 3 years in Boston, we've invested more money and created more programs to make housing affordable than at any other time in the last 30 years. We've rezoned more of the city in the last 2 years than in the last 2 decades combined. And through our Office to Residential Conversion program, we're creating more than 700 new units of housing in downtown Boston from formerly vacant or underutilized office buildings. We built nearly 3,000 new units of affordable housing, permitted more than 2,500 more. And between our BHA First Home program and the Boston Home Center, we've helped more than 600 families buy their first homes in just the last few years. Just last month, we have announced that we are thinking creatively about a revolving fund to help close financing gaps and getting approved projects into construction, particularly the public-private partnerships, and starting with a BHA public-private partnership in Charlestown. And the month before that, I joined our housing team in Dorchester to celebrate that our Acquisition Opportunity Program had secured more than 1,000 market rate units across our city and making them permanently affordable, reaching that milestone 5 years ahead of schedule. This is the level of urgency we're talking about when we say that housing and keeping Boston's families in their homes is our top priority. But there's even more that we can do. So today, as you heard, we're building on the success of our Acquisition Opportunity Program to make it even easier to protect Boston's supply of affordable housing. The Acquisition Opportunity Program gives developers grants to help purchase market rate housing and make it permanently affordable. But these grants only cover a portion of the cost to purchase these properties. To cover the rest, developers have to rely on traditional financing institutions, and the interest rate on these loans is often fairly high. So today, we're creating a more affordable alternative. The Boston Acquisition Fund will offer low-interest loans to developers who will purchase market rate housing, keep tenants in their homes, and make sure these properties remain permanently affordable for Boston families. We are proud at the city to be leading the way as the largest seed investor so far, with $5 million of resources towards this fund. But I really want to celebrate this amazing set of 10 partners joining us today, whose contributions are critical to the success of not only this fund, but our broader mission when it comes to housing in general. The leaders in this room, representing Boston's premier healthcare institutions and philanthropies, have pledged an additional $8 million to this fund. Thank you so much to Dr. David Brown, President of the Academic Medical Centers at Mass General Brigham, Lisette Lay, Director of the Racial Wealth Equity Initiative at the Barr Foundation, Dr. Sherry Nethersole, Vice President of Community Health and Engagement at Boston Children's Hospital, Dr. Benjamin Ebert, President and CEO of the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, Dr. Tony Hollenberg, President of Boston Medical Centers, Nancy Kaysen, Vice President of Community Benefits and Community Relations at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, Dina Skiana, Housing Fellow at Eastern Bank Foundation, Sherry Dong, Executive Director of Community Benefits and Community Health Initiatives at Tufts Medical Center, and a special thank you to Lee Pelton, President and CEO of the Boston Foundation, for bringing together many of the partners in the room here today to focus on housing as part of our broader goal to close the racial wealth gap here in Boston. You all have made this possible. Altogether, at this point in time, we're talking about $13 million that our city's largest employers and anchor institutions have helped the city of Boston secure to keep residents, workers, and families in the homes and the neighborhoods where they built their lives and careers and woven themselves into the fabric of our communities. Our goal is to reach at least $25 million by the end of 2025 and to acquire 500 homes over the next 5 years, protecting 1,500 additional residents from displacement. So, to all the employers and anchor institutions in our city who are hearing about this and raising an eyebrow, maybe a little bit of curiosity, please, this is your open invitation to get involved. Please join us in helping us address the most pressing issue for your workforce, for your employees and their families, and the communities that make our economy go. And for all of our residents and families here in Boston, please know that we are going to continue every effort like this to ensure that Boston can be a home for everyone. We knew that to steward a first-of-its-kind fund like this and make it successful, we needed a partner with the expertise and experience to work with developers of all kinds. And there's no one better with a stronger track record of deploying innovative financing models to keep families in their homes than MHIC, the Massachusetts Housing Investment Corporation. So before I turn it over to President and CEO Mari Touré of MHIC, otra vez en español, por favor. Buenos días y gracias a todos. Abordar la necesidad de más vivienda asequible para los residentes de nuestra ciudad es un componente esencial de nuestra visión para hacer que Boston sea un hogar para todos. Por ese motivo, hoy construimos sobre el éxito de nuestro programa para la adquisición de vivienda asequible, que se llama Acquisition Opportunity Program, para facilitar aún más la protección de las viviendas asequibles de Boston a los desarrolladores. El Acquisition Opportunity Program concede subvenciones a los desarrolladores para que puedan adquirir viviendas a precio de mercado y hacerlas asequibles de forma permanente. Pero estas subvenciones únicamente cubren una parte del costo de adquisición de esas propiedades. Para cubrir el resto, los desarrolladores tienen que recurrir a las instituciones financieras tradicionales. Y la tasa de interés sobre estos préstamos suele ser alta. Hoy damos inicio a un fondo que va a crear una alternativa más asequible. El Boston Acquisition Fund va a ofrecer préstamos con bajos intereses para los desarrolladores que compren viviendas a precio de mercado, mantengan a los inquilinos en sus hogares y se aseguren de que estas propiedades sean permanentemente asequibles para las familias de Boston. La ciudad está orgullosa de destinar $5 millones a este fondo, en el que también han invertido nuestros aliados del sector privado que nos acompañan aquí hoy. Estamos hablando de $13 millones que ya hemos asegurado para que los residentes y las familias puedan permanecer en los hogares en los cuales han construido sus vidas. Nuestro objetivo es llegar a los $25 millones a finales del 2025 y adquirir 500 viviendas en los próximos 5 años, protegiendo a 1.500 residentes de ser desplazados. Entonces, gracias a todos nuestros compañeros y los aliados en esta iniciativa. Y ahora es un honor de introducir Mari Touré, President of the Mass Housing Investment Corporation. And just so we won't have to keep popping up and down to the speakers, the list is on here. So if you can flag the next person, let us know. And for everyone here, after President Touré, we'll hear from Dr. David Brown, then President Lee Pelton, Dr. Sherry Nethersole, Dr. Benjamin Ebert, Dr. Anthony Hollenberg, and then Vice President Nancy Kaysen. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Hello, everybody. I want to start by expressing my gratitude to Mayor Wu and to the Chief of Housing, Sheila Dillon, for your outstanding leadership on this important issue. My name is Mari Touré, and I'm the President and CEO of MHIC, Massachusetts Housing Investment Corp. MHIC is a private nonprofit based here in Boston. As we enter our 35th year, we have invested over $3.5 billion throughout New England in over 700 projects. Thank you. And so that means over 27,000 homes and over 7.5 million square feet of commercial and community space throughout New England. The Boston Acquisition Fund is an incredible initiative that addresses not just the development of affordable housing, but the preservation of affordable housing, which, quite frankly, is what keeps neighborhoods and communities intact. And that is the important thing that I think we're trying to solve for. I'd also like to take a moment to thank our investors. Public-private partnerships like these are vital to moving cities forward, and so appreciate everyone in this room that has contributed thus far. We're excited to continue welcoming new investors, as the mayor mentioned, to grow this program, which I said is about preserving affordable housing, but it's about strengthening communities. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is David Brown. I'm the president of the Academic Medical Centers at Mass General Brigham, and it's a real honor to be here with all of you today. With you, Mayor Wu, it's great to see you, and with my colleagues, and particularly nice to connect with some of the leaders in the Boston healthcare landscape. So, no secret to anyone in this room or to the residents of the city of Boston and beyond that stable, safe, and affordable housing is the foundation of good health. We know that poor housing conditions and housing instability are closely linked with chronic health issues like asthma, cardiovascular diseases, and of course the impact of chronic stress. And unfortunately, we know that the housing crisis, both here and across the nation, disproportionately impacts communities of color, worsening already alarming healthcare inequities. That's why it's a real honor for us across Mass General Brigham to support the Boston Acquisition Fund, an initiative that aims to change that trajectory for so many Boston families. This past July, through a highly competitive process, the Mayor's Office of Housing was awarded $2.5 million from the Massachusetts General Hospital's Community Health Impact Funds. This historic community investment was triggered by the little construction project we have down Cambridge Street. You might have noticed it or maybe been caught in some of the traffic, but we're modernizing our campus and building out the Susan and Philip Reagan building at Mass General Hospital. So our Community Advisory Board, guided by Boston Area Community Health Needs Assessments, identified housing as one of 4 key health initiatives for these historic investments. And the Community Advisory Board determined that for housing priority, the awarded proposal should focus on the production and preservation of affordable housing. So we're so proud to partner with the City of Boston, the Mayor's Office of Housing, by helping to fund their innovative proposal aimed at stabilizing housing for at-risk families, preventing displacement, and fostering healthier, more equitable communities. It's inspiring to see this investment come to life today, and we're excited to join our community partners and fellow healthcare system leaders in supporting this approach. This work has the potential to create measurable, lasting change in the health of our neighborhoods, an outcome we all aspire to. So, congratulations to Mayor Michelle Wu, Boston Housing Chief Sheila Dillon, and the incredible team at the Mayor's Office of Housing, and all those in the room and beyond who have contributed to this monumental effort. We cannot wait to see the transformational impact that the Boston Acquisition Fund will have on the health and well-being of citizens of our city. Thank you. And now I think I'm turning it over to President and CEO Lee Pelton of the Boston Foundation.
Thank you. First of all, I should say that my name is Lee, not Marty. Even though we seem to have gone to the same tailor and socks and everything, but one of us has hair and is old, and one of us is young and has no hair. So anyway, I'm very proud to be here today with you, Mayor, and others on this occasion of hope and promise, and to represent the Boston Foundation and our investment in the Boston Acquisition Fund. This investment is not only important for its impact, but it's an example of the Boston Foundation's principled mission to improve lives and strengthen communities. Like all of you here today, the Boston Foundation is committed to the well-being of our community and all who live here. We know that we need to do our part to ensure that those who want to live here can afford to do so, can stay here, and in doing so to have the good fortune to enrich the lives of our great city by full participation in it. At the Boston Foundation, we have and we will continue to advocate for the expansion of housing vouchers, make impact investments in affordable housing production, and work to preserve existing affordable homes within Greater Boston's communities. And yet, there is still much more good work to do. This is not the beginning, nor the end to this critical work. As we all know, it is essential that we invest in the production of new housing supply while we also pursue opportunities and efforts and policies to protect existing affordable housing. I want to applaud you, Mayor, and your team for your steadfast and focused efforts to provide our citizens with affordable housing and the opportunity to create intergenerational wealth and equity to help them get through tough times, pay for their children's colleges, education without excessive borrowing, or even to start a business. 2 years ago, when the Boston Foundation turned to our Carpe Diem Fund to support the creation of the Commonwealth's first mixed-income neighborhood trust in East Boston, we did so in partnership not only with the mayor and her team, but with many nonprofits and lenders and funders and philanthropic organizations. We did this not only to provide affordable homes, but perhaps most important, to prevent escalating home prices and the displacement that would have surely followed. TBF is grateful to be in partnership once again to ensure that individuals and families thrive, that they prosper, and in doing so, may create a more equitable Boston for generations to come. So thank you again for allowing us to be here and to be a part of this. And now I want to turn the podium over to Dr. Sherry Nethersole.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to join you, to be joining you today. I'm Sherry Nethersole. I'm a pediatrician and the Vice President for Community Health at Boston Children's Hospital. As you know, the health and well-being of children and families is one of the critical components of the mission at Boston Children's Hospital. And stable, affordable housing is an essential foundation for a child's ability to grow and develop in a healthy way. Housing instability doesn't just affect where families live. It impacts a child's ability to grow, to learn, and to thrive. Housing instability is linked to poor academic outcomes, mental health struggles, and worsening of chronic disease for children. It disrupts school attendance and learning, making it harder for children to graduate on time and succeed in life. Too many families in our community are facing housing conditions that threaten to push them out of their homes, putting their well-being at risk. So we're deeply grateful for the opportunity to partner with the Mayor's Office of Housing and the other great organizations involved in the Boston Acquisition Fund. About 9 years ago, our Community Advisory Board, the board that advises us on all of our community health initiatives, told us that we needed to add housing to our community health efforts. So we've listened to that, and we are using our resources to address housing advocacy, create new affordable housing, and prevent displacement. Today's effort is one important step towards ensuring that children and families remain housed, connected to their communities, and supported in their health and well-being. We applaud the Mayor's Office of Housing for their ongoing leadership in ensuring that families in Boston have the resources they need to thrive. Coming together today serves as a reminder that creating meaningful, transformative change requires collective effort. It really, truly takes a village to do this. We're excited to begin this important work in the weeks and months ahead. And once again, thank you again to Mayor Wu, to the Mayor's Office of Housing, and to our collaborators to really making this happen and working hard to do that. And with that, I will turn things over to Dr. Benjamin Ebert from Dana-Farber.
Thank you, Sherry. Hi, everybody. My name is Ben Ebert. I'm the new president and CEO of Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. I wanted to thank Mayor Wu for inviting us all to be here with you today. It is really an honor to be part of this launch of the Boston Collaborative Housing Initiative Fund. We absolutely share the mayor's mission for preserving and extending the affordable housing in Boston. In taking care of patients with cancer, we know that patients need affordable housing. The research is very clear that exposure to housing insecurity is associated with worse outcomes from cancer. We as an institution are absolutely committed to all of the residents of the city of Boston and all of our communities. And in support of that, we've collaborated with Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center to contribute over $1 million to this effort. I think it's particularly powerful that all of these leaders of academic medical centers in Boston are here today working together in an effort that affects all of us. And it's fantastic to see so many of my colleagues here. So we're proud to support this effort, proud to continue to work with the City of Boston and Mayor Wu and her administration in supporting housing and other initiatives. Thank you. So I'll now introduce Tony Hollenberg from Boston Medical Center.
Thanks, Ben. Good afternoon. Great to see everyone. I'm Tony Hollenberg. I'm the president of Boston Medical Center, and I'm just thrilled to be here. It's an honor to mark this achievement on behalf of Boston Medical Center, and thank you to Mayor Wu and to Chief Dillon and to Adam Goldstein, who I've known for many, many years. Great to see you doing all this really important work, Adam. So thrilled to see that. We're really excited to join our colleagues from other hospitals and health systems in supporting the creation of this fund, which will be transformative for so many of our patients who face housing insecurity. Boston Medical Center first invested in housing in 2017 because we saw the clear connection between housing, health, and ultimately economic instability of our communities, and completely important for mobility for our communities as well. 1 in 12 patients that we see in our hospital experiences homelessness, and far more than that experience housing instability. We also know that many patients who are unhoused have significantly higher rates of chronic and life-threatening diseases, including hypertension, substance use disorder, and depression, and as we heard, cancer as well, and every other form of disease. No single organization can solve this problem alone, but together we can make a difference. And that's why it's so exciting today to be surrounded by so many colleagues and friends across our ecosystem here to make a difference in what we do. We applaud the mayor and her team for taking this important step forward to promote affordable, accessible housing so all of our residents, patients, and neighborhoods can thrive. Thank you again. It's my pleasure to introduce Nancy Kaysen, who I've known for a long time as Vice President of Community Benefits and Community Relations from Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center.
Good afternoon. I think you already know my name and my title from Tony. Thank you. Go way back. Thank you to Mayor Wu and her team for hosting this event today. The launch of the Boston Acquisition Fund is a very exciting step forward in our collective efforts to address the need for more housing across Boston. Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center is incredibly proud to be one of the first organizations who have contributed to this innovative fund, which will help preserve more affordable housing options and prevent displacement of tenants and residents of the city. Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center has a long-standing commitment to the community and a history of investing in the health and well-being of our patients and the community that we serve. As part of BIDMC's Community Health Needs Assessment, most recently, housing yet again was the top priority identified by our community, and it is a need that continues to plague those most vulnerable in the city. Increasing affordable housing options will not only support our patients, it will also help to ensure that we have a strong and supportive workforce for the future. Projects like this and this incredible fund underscore the importance of collaboration in addressing the toughest issues that we face in the city and in our region. No one organization can build or buy their way out of this chronic and difficult housing crisis. Progress will take policymakers, the city, elected officials, our private sector working together to increase our housing supply. We very much appreciate Mayor Wu and the city's dedication to addressing this issue and look forward to continuing to work with all in this room, our partners today, and those who will invest in the future to address the housing needs in Boston. Thank you.
Great. Thank you again to all of our founding partners and to all who helped make this possible. Any questions from the media for anyone up here on topic? So these are all, as you heard, it's a public-private partnership. The city's contribution in seeding the fund was $5 million that had been previously set aside and budgeted, so we're not talking about needing to identify additional or new funds. That $5 million comes partially from ARPA, so the federal pandemic recovery funds that needed to be spent down and that we saw had so much impact with the success of the acquisition opportunity program for the last several years to date, and then partially from the operating budget that was already approved. Yeah, so if anyone from the team wants to chime in, feel free. We're doing our analysis on a number of different fronts just to make sure as we head into a new administration and as the federal programs approved by over the past several years tend to phase out, that we are sure of everything getting out to the door that's already been obligated and committed. The timeline for ARPA funds, I believe, was to be obligated by the end of this calendar year and then spent by the end of next calendar year. And so we had fairly recently, with the City Council, approved the last batch of $7 million of ARPA funds. Thank you to Council President Lujan and Councilor Durkin, who chaired that committee, and all of the councilors. That doubled down on housing and small businesses in the programs that had already been established and that we knew could get those funds out the door quickly and have maximum impact because we have such great evidence of the difference that it makes.
Mayor, can you take an off-topic question?
I'll do that after, if that's so, just so we're not holding everyone. But Nikki.
We have a major housing supply issue, and I know you announced the Housing Accelerator Fund. Can you explain the decision to focus these funds on housing acquisition rather than adding to, creating a bigger pot for the Accelerator Fund?
Yeah, and I don't know if Chief Dillon wants to come up and add her thoughts as well. I will say, our housing crisis is so wide and so deep that we need every possible approach to be going on all fronts. And I shared a little bit of the rundown of the types of programs that run the gamut from home ownership to preservation in this case, to creation of new affordable housing, to speeding up our housing approval so that market rate housing can build up the supply and that we're moving fast on the housing production side. So there's slightly different goals for different programs. This one is dedicated to keeping housing affordable that was previously market rate. And so those precious apartments where people are able to afford it, when you talk to those tenants, they tell you that life feels extremely tenuous because they're just waiting for that next notice about how much the rent is going to go up. And many landlords in the city are doing their very best to keep their tenants, and they're really, in some ways, out of their own, the goodness of their own hearts or out of their own pockets, keeping rents below market, because we know the pressures are quite intense, and that in many of these instances, they could have gone the other way, and we would have seen displacement with rents going up very significantly, as some of our other proposals have tried to address in the past as well. So this is about, the fastest way to prevent displacement is to keep someone in their home right now, today. We are doing all the rest of it in terms of building and permitting more affordable housing. That takes time, but this is an incredibly tangible and urgent way to ensure that we're protecting people in their homes. On the Accelerator Fund side, this is an idea that some jurisdictions and municipalities or counties around the country are looking into, of having a revolving fund to fund either public-private partnerships or fully private development that would return the funding back to the city. This would be for the purchase and development of new housing primarily. Chief?
No, the mayor is right. We have been building a lot of affordable housing and a lot of housing. We're starting to see even market. We're seeing more units come on. But the mayor mentioned it. We have produced more affordable housing in the last 3 years than we have in decades past. And you may recall when the mayor came into office, we did a very large land inventory. And we looked at every parcel, every large parcel, small parcel, and many of those are now, we've put out for development. So we're putting more money in, we're putting land out, and we're really encouraging new production. But as the mayor said, this is where we see a lot of pain when buildings change hands. So if we see a good nonprofit or a for-profit that is willing to help us, and they can actually acquire an existing property that's tenanted and secure their tenancies and keep the rents low, we have to do both. So it's a pretty robust strategy right now that the city has undertaken, and we're really doing all that we can. But as the federal money, goes away, a lot of it, we really do need these kind of partnerships to continue the work. Thank you.
Given that these are loans, not grants, will the interest paid on these loans go into the city's general fund, or is this intended to be a revolving fund similar to the accelerator?
This is the loan piece of the AOP program, right, where the city's providing subsidy, and the money here today is going to be low-cost capital, and it will get paid back into the fund so it can be redeployed.
And I'll just note also that, it's important for us, I think the power of sitting in this room alongside these partners is to really show how much housing affects everything else about a person's life. And the fact that we are with the world's premier healthcare institutions who are telling us that their research and their data and their lived experience taking care of patients every day cannot reach its fullest potential without housing stability at the foundation, that says something about why we all across the city need to put as much as we can to keeping housing costs low for our residents and building up more housing so that people can afford to live and thrive here in our city. We are tracking a bunch of metrics on our end as well. I know we are getting close to having some final evictions data at some point in the year, which I think looks very encouraging so far in terms of the impact that we can then quantifiably measure. So more to come on that front. But every which way we are measuring and tracking, we know that housing has a ripple effect into everything else that people need in their lives.
Yeah, we expect this to be an ongoing fund, and we're, as the mayor mentioned, we'll be working to get to our $25 million goal. But then I think we want to go beyond that. And I think working with our partners at MHIC are really excited for this being an ongoing evergreen resource that can be funding this type of acquisitions for the foreseeable future. So that city contribution will stay in there and will revolve, and we'll be keeping on working on bringing on additional investments from other partners.
Did you say the city contribution was $5 million?
Yep.
Okay, so that's an ongoing annual contribution?
It's a one-time contribution that will be loaned out, and then will come back, and then will be loaned out again. So it will stay in the fund. It's coming out of partly from federal American Rescue Plan Act dollars, $3 million of it, and then $2 million of it comes from the operating budget.
Is there a maximum rent that you guys will be looking at for preservation, or is that done more on a case-by-case basis?
Yes, so we have a maximum of 80% of the area median income, but that's the maximum. Most of the units will be below 80%.
Questions? Great. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us. I'll huddle with media on other stuff.